Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. We're coming to you on day one of 2022. It is Happy New Year, first day of the year. Got a great interview with Josh Conway from the Marías, and they're up for Best Engineered Album for the Grammys. We'll get to that in just a second. A whole bunch of you have entered the era of the aura. This puppy right here, man, from all over the world. Listen to this week's winner. Remember, we're giving 3 away per week. Got one more week, so get in and enter. The winners this week are Alexander Lindo from Kingston, Jamaica, Ricardo Menezes from Delaware, and my man Yuri Gavrilenko from Khabarovsk, Russia. How about that? How about that pronunciation? Congratulations to all you guys. HK Pro, AKG, killing it. This mic is dope. And as we go optimistically into the new year, we also have to remember that life intrudes. And we need to share with you that on the last day of the year, which was yesterday, as we were taping this, we lost a musical icon in the audio business, a lady named Lisa Roy. Lisa, who had a big hand in stuff that we did, and particularly with the award show, but she had a big hand in all of audio. She was a brand unto herself. She was smart and sophisticated. She combined being spiritual and risque in a way that nobody ever could. Jesus, I'm going to send you a couple of notes, and you should take note of these. Don't let the high, thigh high, snakeskin boots fool you. That's just Lisa. You're going to learn that the word can't is not said can't, it's said can't. You're going to probably have your hair redone and your robes probably change color. And you now have a spiritual concierge. She will make sure everybody that comes in there is correct. She is unique. She is loved. We're going to miss her. We don't know what's in God's plan. We can't do anything about it. But from Pensado's Place and all of the audio world, if you didn't know her, you should have, and many people did. Lisa, we love you. Chubba, you got her back. To all of her folks here, Cooch and her girls, I know how painful it is. It is for us too. So I can't say rest in peace, Lisa, because Lisa doesn't rest. So Lisa, get busy, do it your thing. I know you are up there with Al and Ed and doing your thing, and we love you, and we love the time we spent with you. So without further ado, please hit us on all of our socials. We'll get back to you and enjoy a great conversation with the one, the only, the very talented Josh Conway. Welcome to the place.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Josh. No, it is really our honor. What's fascinating to me, and let me just thank you guys first for making intelligent, sexy music. It's so nice that application is both in the music and in the lyrics and in the way it's being sung. Because we have a lot of sexy music that's overt. Let me pound a beat at you. Let me tell you what you're going to do specifically. And, let me describe genitalia and, go get it. And I can get down with Cardi B and Up every now and then, but every now and then I just want to have something where kind of the thinking is done for me. And you guys' music do that. Is that intentional? Is that just the vibe of where the creativity comes from?
Both. I mean, it's intentional in that we don't intend to get so specific with like genitalia and with,
thank you.
with raunchy lyrics, but it's also just our vibe of how we interact, how we speak to each other as well, like very natural.
And is the writing process, is that the birth of where everything comes, and you honor that writing process and where it goes and how you share it with the public?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the writing process is really everything to us. I mean, there's not really a set way that we do it either. It usually fluctuates between like starting with a beat or starting with a lyric or a melody. But it's always very intimate with Maria and I, since we are in a relationship as well. And that is
it like, shows. It comes through. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's a very it's a sacred experience when we write together.
I'm going to jump in here because that was my next question. What do you use first? Where do you start first? Lyrics, melodies, tracks. So your lyrics are way incredible. Some of the best I've ever heard. And one of the neat thing about your lyrics is they amplify the track. In other words, whatever the lyric is about, you have some of that movement inside the music. And then whoever's playing those pads is the best pad player and synth guy ever.
I
mean, and that combination of her Latinness and growing up the way she grew up compared with your essential music is just it's infectious. It reminds me if Sade grew up in let's pick a city, say Torrance or Woodland Hills or Encino. I bet that's what it would sound like. And my damn phone, I actually turned it off. So I'll demonstrate. This is the way you turn off a phone, so you don't have to really cut that out.
Well, that was actually the question police calling because they didn't know where the hell you were going with that question. And so
it was just
between Sade being in Torrance, Encino, and Woodland Hills, I just want that to be extrapolated out into something that makes sense. Josh, let me ask this question.
It was a yes or no question, Herb. That's what it was.
Yeah. The other thing that we recently had a conversation with Jack Antonoff, and one of the questions I asked him was, were the Grammys still important to him? I think it is. I think that being recognized by your peers is something, and particularly if they could get that process more pure. And I think the Grammys is trying to become a newer version of what it was that some people have issues with. This album, Cinema, is up for Best Engineered Album, correct?
Yeah.
And knowing that you had such a hand in it, part of what's fascinating, and I couldn't help it, I apologize, but I had to go call Neil Pogue and I had to go call Josh Goodwin. Those are like my little bros. And they were so effusive about working with you and on it. Like for Neil, it took him to another place. And it's interesting to have the music be and the process be that inspiring. I thought your choices of mixers were inspired. What was the thought process in that?
Oh, for sure. We had a few mix-offs, if you will, for Hutch, which was the first single. And Neil's was, I first heard Neil's and it was exciting to me. It wasn't like, I wasn't like jaw dropped because it sounded like the mix that I had given him in a certain way. But then I listened back to the ref mix and I was just like, oh, like he really took it there. Like, hitting. Like I thought, and so like that's what I really loved about Neil is that he was able to elevate the mixes that our A&R told me that when you're finishing a song, try and get it all the way there as best as you can. Get it. Don't leave it up to the mixer to make it sound good. Get it sounding good before it goes to the mixer.
Yep.
And that was that was hard for sure. It definitely did not make it easier, but at the end of the day, it gave us what we wanted in a mix. And with the right mixer like Neil, whose ear and talent is like
ridiculous,
really unparalleled, and what he does with drums, and also just as a person, just so nice. Just such a
Neil's a close friend of Herb's. Very close.
So it was amazing working with Neil and Josh as well. I mean, Josh mixed Un Million, and that was a mix where he sent the first version. I was just like, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't want to admit how many times I call Buffy Hubelbank at 3:00 in the morning and go, did Josh mix this? Because Josh's mixes just stand out to me. There's some balance between what your intention is, commerciality, and some sort of muscularity in what he does. It's just magical, man. It just, I can hear them. And so then when I listened, I was like, oh man, it's such a, so kudos to you guys. I think that particularly when it's music this personal, who you give it to is just as personal.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Right. And we're very hands-on in everything the Marías. So like, you know, from music videos to recordings to shows to literally every element of the Marías that has to do with creative, like we are very much involved. And it's just nice to like be able to work with someone like Neil and Josh that understand that and are able to like, you know, we gel really well together. And
Neil and Josh, I think what makes them work so good is you've got your how can I put this? You don't give a crap about genre. You don't give a crap about putting labels on things. Is what it sounds like. And so in your music, you've got punk, you got funk, you got Coachella, you got folk, rock.
I like that Coachella is a genre.
Soul, jazz. And just as an aside, pop is not a genre. It's pop. It's a category where you can put everything else in. But if you put the word pop at the end of everything I just said, like funk pop, this pop, that pop, and bedroom pop too. I forgot about that.
Bedroom pop.
That's what I hear, and that's what Josh and Neil are good at. So it's a great record. It really is. It's a great record.
So take us down the Armageddon, Middle Earth hell of trying to make this record and then getting flooded out and then trading off rent for space and the whole number.
Oh man. So okay, well, we started the record about 3 years ago. It was 2.5 years before we released it. And it was just kind of like we would record here and there. It was on the tour bus, like some stuff was recorded on the tour bus. And then at some point, we realized, okay, we have a bank of songs and this could be a record. And that was around the time that we had signed to Nice Life and Atlantic. Mm-hmm. And that was October 2019. Mm-hmm. And then we went to Asia after that. And when we came back, we were like, all right, we've got some songs. We played them and in our minds, we were like, this is basically the record. Like we've done it, you know? And it was probably like 8 or 10 songs. And then the pandemic hit and we were like, okay, we're not going to release it. We're going to just keep writing. And I think there's like maybe 2 songs on Cinema that were also on that first batch, but everything else was completely just traded in. So the pandemic really helped us with that. And then after the pandemic, or not after, we're still in it, but at the end of 2020, it rained one day in LA and we had just moved into the studio downstairs and I came down to the studio and Maria and I just walked in and there was probably like good 2 inches of water on the ground, just like the whole thing. Like probably a week after we had finally set it up with like the sound panels, the lights, the couch and the wall and everything. It was like fully set up. We were really stoked about it. And this was just around the time we started talking to Neil as well. So luckily we had basically finished tracking, but I had to move everything out. And I went and set up a tiny little makeshift studio at my dad's house, who lives like 15 minutes away. Mm-hmm. And we mixed and finished everything there. And I wasn't able to actually use the sound panels that we got, the speakers, and it was all the mix references were really like every time I listened to it, it was either on my headphones or on speakers in like a non-treated room. In the living room, like with glass walls and glass windows. Yeah, so it was pretty insane. The flood and the pandemic. It was it was a lot.
Yeah, and you know it's funny because those kind of circumstances, particularly the uniqueness of who the group is, could either bond you or rip you apart. You know, and people sometimes don't understand that the duress can, you know, look what came out of it, but I'm sure it wasn't fun going through it.
No, I mean, and in addition to all of that, I mean, it was just, you know, making an album really does take a lot out of you, especially when, you know, Maria and I are in it every day during a pandemic when we're already like quarantined for, you know, it was a lot of work, and the payoff has been great. And, you know, I'm really stoked that our fans can hear it, because there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for sure.
When you guys first started working together, your goal was to write for film and TV. And that, it seems to me like cinema. You named the album Cinema, and then like we were talking before the show about how the pads worked and everything. And is that still your technique? Because I hear it, but I was wondering if it was intentional, and if it was, can you tell us how we can do it?
Yeah, for sure. When we first started doing it, it was a lot more straightforward. Like, we would get pitches from a music supervisor friend of Maria's, and it would basically be a synopsis of like, guy goes into a casino and locks eyes with a girl across the room. Need a song like, I don't know, I forget what it would be, a reference song. And like, okay, like, that's kind of fun. So and it's like, need it by tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And this is at like 11 p.m. Right. Like, cool. We would go into the studio and just work through the night and send it in. Nothing ever got placed. Nothing ever got picked up. But that prompt is what like started our careers, at least started our discography. Super Clean Volume 1 was pretty much all songs from prompts like that. Trying to remember other ones, but it was really fun. And when none of them got pitched or none of them got placed, we were like, well, we have these songs now, so let's release them, you know,
do something with it.
And they let us know when you get your first placement. We'll celebrate.
It'll be momentous.
Good stuff.
I think in your music, part of what's also admirable about it is that there's an independence to it. Like, this is what we're doing on this song, and it may be roughly loosely connected to the next song, but you'll figure it out. You don't you don't pander. You know, you guys are doing your art, you're doing it your way, and you expect the audience to sort of get it. And then from project to project, what I think is interesting about that is it makes it anticipatory. Like, what are they going to do this time? Like, look what they did last time. And does that now then extend to your live shows? Do you play around with what you do?
For sure. The live show is like where we are able to, you know, do things that may not be as like detrimental to the recording. You know what I mean? Like, we can have these long jams and fluctuate and go into different songs, like a DJ set type of thing. And treating it like that and just having fun. And Jesse and Eddie, the other guys in the group, are so great. So great. Like, when we play live together, we've known each other for years. I've known the other guys since, well, Jesse and I have known each other since we were like 3 years old. And Eddie and I since we were in middle school, high school. And, you know, our chemistry is just great live. So we just have a lot of fun. And it's not exactly the same as the recordings, which is fun.
But don't you derive information? I'm sorry, Dave. Do you derive information from that then you could take back into the writing and recording process? What reacts, way the audience does things? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, you inevitably pick up what the audience likes from just playing. Like, when you, even with super clean stuff, like, you know, like, okay, I want to have this part be like the everyone sing along, you know, like that kind of thing. What works in a live setting, and then what also doesn't work in a live setting.
That's right.
And what does work on a recording. So it's like, you know, you can't have a long intro in the beginning on the recording, because it's like, there's nothing. But in live set, you can do that, and it's captivating.
Yeah, exactly.
Any creative person has a certain element of working for themselves and making music for themselves. How much of the music that you make is just made for yourself, and what percentage of it is taking into account the audience?
Yeah, I think like nowadays we kind of have to make a conscious effort to work for ourselves, like to make music that we like. I mean, ultimately, we're not going to make anything we don't like. You know, at the end of the day, everything we release and create, we like. You know, but there does come a time in a writing process or a recording process where you're like, I think our fans would actually prefer it this way. You know, something like that, and then you get into your head and you're like, but I kind of like it this way. And then you're just like fighting back and forth. But I think Marie and I both learned to listen to yourself first, because if they're fans, that means that they've trusted you along the way to listen to yourself. And And
the other part of that process, I think, you tell me as an artist, and particularly as an artist, both as part of the group, on stage, and technically what you do, because those are separate things. They combine. When people and fans and stuff confirm that they like the journey, I'm always telling our team, don't let 6 negative comments throw you off from the 600,000 who dig it, or whatever the number is, because the choice is to lead, and there's always going to be somebody who disagrees, but you're just going to make yourself nuts doing all that kind of stuff. So again, that independence thing I referred to is partially what is so nice about listening to the music, because whether you know it or not, if you're open, you intuit that something different is happening here, and their approach is different, and the lushness in the music, and they're not suffering me like a fool, like I'm going to get on this thing and I'm going to go someplace. They've got a plan. I'm just going to roll with it and see where it goes.
For sure. As to the negative comments thing, I deleted Reddit from my phone the day our album came out.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't downloaded it since, and I don't plan to. I wish I could. I wish I was a guy that could just read a bunch of negative comments and be totally cool with everything. Like, oh yeah, right. But I can't, and I don't think many people can. I think it's normal to, you're going to think about it. So I think the best case is to just not think about it and not
absolutely
with it. I haven't read comments in a long time because of that.
Yeah, same as me. And I call it keyboard courage. I don't need some fool who's got keyboard courage to get it wrong to begin with, and then all of a sudden my day is messed up by, Larry from Des Moines. It's just not, no diss to Larry, but
no diss to our Redditors. I love our community of Dash the Marias. But I think y'all would understand. Sometimes you just gotta stay in your lane, and I just gotta.
Yeah, Herb and I think I speak for Herb. We didn't the first year or two. We didn't listen or look at comments. I know I didn't look at comments for a year. My wife would say, "They're kind of good. You got one bad one." That's about as close as I got. But hey, I got a news flash for you. You did get a sync.
Yeah, we did.
On Hush.
On Hush.
Yeah, that's a video that you did.
Wait, what was the Hush sync?
Hush was a video. Your video.
Oh, like a music video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We made the music video, but as far as like syncs,
well, it's a bad joke, man. Don't embarrass me here. I'm trying to make a joke here.
Sorry, that went right over my head.
See, the good part, Josh, is the reason I'm here is when that happens, you go, Herb, could you interpret? And then I'll interpret for you. And then because Josh was going, Dave, you were going to SINK. Josh is a business person. He was going to SYNC about, did they have a song that got synced into something? Yeah. So anyway, here we are back on. They
make music for themselves. I make jokes for myself, so it works.
That you do.
Yeah, don't listen to the haters.
Hey, Josh. The effect that you use on a lot of Maria's vocals, I love that it's somewhat backwards in terms of just, you would think, but it works so well. Don't change it, please, not because I said so. But the verses have this like distortion coloration that just makes them come on most of the songs. It just makes her sound bigger than life, and then she cleans it up, or whoever the mix engineer or whatever cleans it up for the verse, for the choruses and pre's. But can you share whatever that plugin was that did that?
I really don't know. It depends. I mean, every song is, I mean, our chain, I use no outboard gear. So I'm literally just going TLM 103 into UAD. And I've got LA2A UAD plugin, and that's pretty much it going into the box, or at least into the session. And then just more compression. Maria doesn't like too much bells and whistles unless it's like super intentional, like Cariño or Calling You Back. Like Calling You Back, especially, you know, like heavy distortion. Probably used Decapitator.
Okay.
I use Decapitator a lot. That's for sure. That's like my go-to overdriver distortion. And other than that, like, she just likes reverb. Yeah, we don't really do too much to it. I mean, I'm not sure what Neil did. Whatever he did, it was great. He killed it.
But what I took away from that I think is really cool for our audience is, look at the kind of records you can make. You can compete. This is not about having more. This is about doing stuff with what you have and being true to the music. You know, that is you know, we're going to post a show from Sweetwater about all the business there is and just home studio, home producer kind of things, and where that's exploded. And there's no differentiation, I have felt, for a number of years between those who are honor their craft. You can have the tools, you can be in a bedroom, you can come up with stuff, you can put it out, it can be successful, period. And but in this particular case, this is the other thing about you guys. Your records are both loved and critically acclaimed. Your reviews by critics are sick. Like it's groundbreaking, or what they notice, or it's cutting edge, or the lushness, or the whatever the case may be. And it feels like it's written by fans, and they're not necessarily fans. They're sometimes there to be objective and show what they know, but they're glowing.
That's awesome. I actually, and similar to how I don't read negative comments, I don't often read reviews either. So it's nice to hear that we're getting some good ones.
I'm happy to report them to you.
You can get on another call and you can read them out to me.
Absolutely, man. Just hit me up, and then we'll do that. When you compose, what do you compose on? Is it keyboard?
Yeah, guitar, keyboard.
Okay.
Yeah, one of those two.
And on tour, are you playing guitar?
On tour, I play drums, actually.
Oh, I read that.
I play drums.
What don't you play would be the next question.
Wind instruments.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Anything using my mouth. Nay.
I got you. There's other uses for that. So that's
I still don't understand how they work, honestly. Like brass, and like our tour manager / trumpet player, or we have a trumpet who's also a trumpet player.
Nice.
Really totally gets the crowd going. And on tour, I just ask him all the time, like, okay, so you have valves, but what do they do? And how are you getting notes with one, you know? And it just right over my head. He explains it live, and I'm just like, right. Like,
okay. Wow.
So we were talking about Hold It Together with the bass lines on that, and more bass lines. Did you play? At what point did you play that bass line? Did they follow your bass line, or did you follow what was already there?
I will say that song in particular didn't have that bass line to begin with, and the head of Nice Life, Ricky Reed.
Ricky Reed.
He had, that was our first release with Atlantic Nice Life, and he was like, "Yo, what if you just did like a crazy bass line?" And I was like, "I can try it." And I was with him, and then did it there in the studio, and he was like, "Yeah, for sure." Like, okay, yeah. That was like the first time like that another producer who I very much look up to was like, you know, what if you did this? And I did it, it was really cool. So no, that bass line was a very late addition to the song. It did not circle around that. We just had, the song was very drony before that, and he kind of wanted to give it a little twist and get that funk going. Like that.
It was fun. Yeah. I love it. I love it. In fact, I'd love to see our audience go listen to all the songs we're talking about. As a matter of fact, you'll love them all. But there's some gems in the process too. I love Hush too.
Thank you.
So you're like everybody else. You guys are like everybody else. So we're being able to tour and not tour, and things are up, and then dates get. It's just this. Who knows what? But for artists, where you need that release to go take this thing you've done in the studio and then actually play it, it's got to be full of pent up. Damn it!
Oh yeah. I yeah, for sure. We had rehearsals like a few months ago, just to kind of like get the ball rolling on like how we're going to do these live. And by the end of them, we were like, I was like, this is going to be sick. This is going to be way cooler than our other live shows. And it's going to be super powerful. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I've got a whole new drum setup too. Just like I've got Trigger and I'm running like some playback there. It's stupid how much I have to set up now before shows. There's so much stuff now. It used to just be a drum set, the good old days. I got wires and shit and triggers and
you can be electrocuted.
Yeah, who knew a drummer could get electrocuted?
Yeah, exactly. But it's really cool to master. The thing that you guys also do is technology doesn't master you. You guys use the technology to support the art, and that people have to decide to do that,
For sure. I mean, absolutely. Technology is very much a part of our sound. And a part of our process, I'm
glad Herb brought this up. Like on Cariño, the transitions are from one part, like from the verse to the pre to the chorus, and then I fell in love with them. I listened to those three parts of the song over and over again for about probably 20 listens, and I think that's one of your strengths. Is Trevor Horn was good at that, is that coming from your imagination, your creativity, and if so, how do you come up with those ideas? They're brilliant.
It's just a feeling, I guess. Like Cariño in particular, that was like one of those songs where it just flew out of us as we were writing it. It was just like it started with Maria. I just kind of told her like, hey, sing a melody, which I've done before, then catch her off guard and just like sing something, and she went, "Eres una obra de arte tan solo." And I was, well, maybe not with all the lyrics, but with that melody, I was like, ooh. And then I picked up the guitar and played underneath. And then it was just kind of like cutting and just like immediately, just like as if it was already written, like we just went straight into it. And so that one in particular just went, straight through, and we knew very quickly, like, oh, this is a good one.
You go to totally different genres. I mean, you blur the lines with genres already, and then inside the music where you have a certain genre emphasized for the verse, certain genre, and I find that so refreshing. It keeps me engaged in the song.
Always trying to keep you interested, keep you leaning in a little bit more, or leaning back a little bit more. It's really like the goal. We never want to make the same song twice, and we're very cautious. We're very aware of that when we write. If there's a song that has a very similar, even Hush was a little too similar to one of our other songs, Clueless, to me, at least. I mean, it's just like has that beat, or like another song, I like it. But, we still consciously try to like create something different. And, outside of the realm of like, oh, well, this works, let's just keep doing that. Like, nah, we want to just like keep new elements and songs arising.
Now, here's a question before Batter's Box. With the album named Cinema, and I understand soundtracks are an inspiration. Is that part of? So, what is it about soundtracks that inspire you guys, and what soundtracks inspire you?
That's, I guess themes. Themes are really inspiring for me in soundtracks, and hearing the same theme played in a happy scene, you know, versus the same theme, same melody playing in like a sad scene, is really inspiring to me, and like being able to reharmonize and make it feel a certain way. And some of our favorite soundtracks, Maria has got me really into these like old Italian films. I couldn't tell you the names of the films, but this composer Piero Piccioni, I don't know if you know. He's incredible. A lot of the Pedro Almodóvar movies are incredibly scored.
Incredible.
And what others? Oh yeah, I mean, music is like everything to a movie, and like it's crazy how I've done a little scoring in the past, and it's just crazy how he's watching a scene with muting the music, how different it is versus with the music, and that alone is inspiring. Like just how impactful it is without seeing anything. You know, it's just like audio. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dave. He's the technical Batter's Box. Those guys. Those are tough. They're we make this a competition, Josh. So your job is to knock Dave's block off. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. So Dave, let's tee it up. I expect this is going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. I got a couple of inside jokes here. Favorite synthesizer?
Prophet Rev 2.
Nice.
The Kibitz Room.
History.
That's where he met Maria. Monitors.
Yamaha.
Major or minor key?
Oh man, major.
Plugins.
Sound toys.
Loops.
Oliver sample pack, baby.
Lyrics.
Ooh, hard.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Everything.
Maria.
I apologize for this. Drum machine.
Drum machine. 7. I don't know him well enough, to be honest.
Good answer though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Finally, what we started with, vocals.
Delicate.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna cover Josh just because he's now my new best friend. And so editors, as you run this through, make this Josh's voice. So when Dave goes inspiration, I'm gonna go Maria. And that way he's covered no matter whichever way he goes. My man.
Yeah, better do that.
Thank you.
Josh, I gotta tell you, we're fans, not just because of the music, but because of the intellectual approach and the freedom to be who you are. We've always been big fans of Ricky, and he was one of the courageous guys who came on early and talked about mental health and dealing with it, and then what he's done with Liz. And what I sense is he's provided an environment where you guys, from an A&R standpoint, can go do your thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a special trust and a special bond. So shout outs to him. Thank you for joining us for sure.
Yeah, so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, we're fans. If you ever want to do some stuff, we do some stuff in education, other kinds of things, and we get to bring people to their fans in a different way, and we get this crazy adoption. So, You'd be phenomenal if you ever wanted to do it with us. We'd love to have you.
I would love to. That sounds amazing.
Absolutely. Dave, why don't you take us home?
The undercurrent for today seemed to be yourself, and I'll temper that by saying it really is better to go down in flames being yourself than trying to be somebody else, because you'll be on your deathbed and go, well, I'm getting kind of darker these days on this thing. But it's better on your deathbed, metaphorically, to not have to go, man, if I'd only done this, if I'd only done that. Just do it. And time and time again, Elvis, he couldn't get a record deal. The Beatles couldn't get a record deal. Everybody that's unique has way more of a chance to succeed. When everybody's walking off the cliff, you be the odd guy walking the other direction. And I think that's the way to get to the top.
Absolutely. And record deals also aren't everything, you know? They're helpful when they need them, but we got pretty far without them. And
oh, hell yeah.
You know, you don't, that helped a lot with us. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, no. In fact, in wrapping it up, here's the one thing that I think to the audience, take this away. By nature of our business, you're an entrepreneur. You don't necessarily have to be the greatest or because you're not good means that you're not going to succeed. But knowing that you are means you know who to ask for help, which will help you with your assets, and what you do will ultimately help you with your creativity. Very different from when we came up, but you're now liberated and you can go create this motion and movement and things for yourself and make your decisions from a position of strength. Is that fair, Josh?
Absolutely. Yep. Knowing where you need help is everything. And just going blind and be like, oh, maybe this. But yeah, knowing what your strengths, weaknesses are, that takes time and experience. And at the end of the day, it'll help everything knowing what those are.
You heard it from one of the best, and we'll see you next week.